Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. What's up, everyone? It is Denise Salcedo. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling, and I am beyond happy, exhilarated. I don't even know what the words are here today, but guys, today, March 16th, 2022, we officially have a Mexican-born American Thunder Rosa as AEW Women's World Champion. Jesus Christ. So I just want to say this right away, guys. This is a big deal. This is a big deal for a multitude of reasons. Well, first of all, Thunder Rosa has worked incredibly hard to get to this point in her career and where she's at. Incredibly hard. If you go and listen to her interview with Renee Paquette that she did on her podcast, phenomenal. We'll give you incredible backstory on Thunder Rosa and everything that she sacrificed to get up to this point in her career. On top of that, you can check out my interview with her where we talk about all of her hard work and everything that she did to get up into this point, from like busting her butt, working multiple jobs, to, you know, basically building a name for herself to getting up until this point. Also, on top of building a brand for herself, on top of making herself a star, she's also, you know, building up other women. As you guys all know, she runs Mission Pro Wrestling. On top of everything that she's doing for herself, she's also helping build up other women. So there is so much just with that alone. On top of that, Thunder Rosa represents so many, guys. Not only does she represent women across the board, but she also represents Mexicans. She represents Latinos. She represents people from, all over the world. She said this to me. She told me, like, in the interview that we did, she basically said, she has so many, like, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Nicaraguans, people from Costa Ricans. She has so many people from all of Latin America and, Central America and all of that. People that support her, and not only support her, but see themselves in her in terms of representation. And representation is something that, we have been discussing so much. And as a fellow Mexicana, as a fellow Mexican girl here, I just got to say that this is such an awesome thing to get to see Thunder Rosa go out and represent us all. And she is representing a lot of people. And I am not going to get choked up on this podcast, but my throat's starting to get a little choky. This is just a really awesome moment, and I'm really excited for Thunder Rosa. And I'm also going to share a story about Thunder Rosa that I feel will give you an insight to her character. But before I do, I am going to go ahead and read up a couple of the super chats here. So here we go. We got our first super chat. This one is from Cadillac Carson, who says, "And now all is right in the world. Well, there are still problems in the world, but Thunder Rosa is champ. Love the entrance in her hometown. Epic match. That is how you do it." The entrance was really cool. And obviously we're going to talk about the match and all of that right now, but the entrance was phenomenal because she had an all-female mariachi group. And for those of you guys who don't know, like, mariachi, it's usually like a male-dominated, like, thing, like usually it's male mariachis that you see, but she had an all-female mariachi group, and those do exist, BTW, plenty of them. Obviously there's more men, but the women ones do exist. But she had an all-female mariachi group. She came out, representing the flag and just like in her hometown. Massive reaction. Kudos to everybody in San Antonio, because they really came out and they showed up and they kept the hype. They kept the momentum the entire time, which was just really incredible to see. But we got a super chat from Darth Steven, who says, Happy for Thunder Rosa. Much love to you, Denise. Thank you so much for the super chat here. We got a massive super chat from Hodge Gulashi, a good friend here of the show, who says, feels like the right time for one of these. Now I'm really going to cry. Thank you so much to Hodge Gulashi. I'm going to DM you. I believe we have DMs open. If not, I will look for you. I think I know what your Twitter is, but I'm going to look for you. Thank you so much to Hodge Gulashi for the phenomenal super chat. Another one from my friend Reggie Simmons, who says, yes, Thunder Rosa. Simon Renshaw says, holy cow, Denise, that main event was amazing. Love your work. Keep it up. Thank you so much to Simon. That main event was amazing, and we're going to talk about that in just a second, because there's a lot of things that I want to pinpoint and really talk about here. We got a super chat from Sebastian McCulloch. Thank you so much to Sebastian, who says, great main event. Super happy for Rosa. She absolutely deserves it. As a bonus, she kept my girl Sheeta's record safe. Incredible. Very generous super chat from Chris Verano. Chris, man, thank you so much for this kind super chat. Chris says, Thunder Rosa deserves all of this. The mariachi entrance was perfect. As Scott Hall said, hard work pays off and dreams come true. La mera mera forever. This is absolutely true, guys. Hard work pays off and dreams do come true. And when you get to see other people live that example, it is so nice to see it. I'm not going to cry on this podcast. Someone quick, make a funny joke. Say something mean. Hagen sends in a super chat saying, Inueva, and then Mr. EMJ says, Danielson doing the Regal Plex was the move of the night, but congrats to Rosa. I love suplexes. Christopher Marino says, now the Rhea question says, when are you going to be on Rosa's Taco Blog? A lot of people have been asking for that. Darth Stevens says, now I'm about to start crying. Hashtag Hispanic power. No one is crying on this podcast, okay? No one. Thank you. The Keys Boo says there's no crying in podcasting. Okay. So, BTW, before we get into the actual, thank you so much to Gerardo Escalera, who just sent in a massive super chat. It says, puro can, I've never said that word, canchnia? I've never said that word before. Thank you so much to Gerardo for sending that in, BTW. I appreciate your very kind, generous super chat. Please hit me up on Twitter, because I want to get in contact with you. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much to the Hell Zell for sending this in, guys. All right. So before I get into the match, guys, I want to share a story really quickly about who Thunder Rosa is and the kind of person that she is, okay? So a lot of you guys know that I work at Mission Pro and I do commentary at Mission Pro, okay? So this is something so small, but it's just kind of to show you like a little bit of who she is. So first of all, Thunder Rosa brought me in because she, her husband and her really liked some of the stuff that I had to say on the Fightful podcast when we were talking about women's wrestling in general. And so after that, they reached out to me and basically brought me on board to Mission Pro. Okay, there was this, we share a house. We all share a house at the shows. At the shows, they provide us with a house. They fly us in. They provide us with a house where we spend the night for the show. And there was a certain night that I was sleeping on the couch. I was only going to be there for about an hour, maybe 2 hours, because I had to catch my flight. And I had a blanket, a small little blanket on me. And I was a little cold. I'm not going to lie. I was a little cold. But I didn't want to go get another blanket. There's other girls in the house. I wasn't going to go get another blanket, but I was kind of cold, right? Thunder Rose comes up to me and she says, are you cold? She's like, I will give you another blanket. And inside my head, I was like, I'm not going to make Thunder Rosa go out of her way to go get me a blanket. So I lied to her and I said, oh no, I'm perfectly fine. I'm good. You don't worry about it. I'm okay. Everything's good. And she left. Came back and brought me not one, but 2 blankets, even though I had said that I was okay. But she knew, I don't know how, but she knew that I was cold. She put the 2 blankets on me. And on top of that, she tucked me into bed and she sang me a little song. She probably doesn't remember this, but she kept saying, as she was tucking me in, she would say, tamalito, 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 which is a tamale, and you wrap the tamale. So it's just a little thing that sometimes little things like this really show somebody's character and who they are. And so I just wanted to share that tiny moment moment. There are more moments that I can think of, but for right now, that's what I want to say. But we got a super chat from Bridget Hewlett, who's been massively kind here on this channel. Bridget says, here's celebrating to all the joy of the show tonight. Bridget, you're awesome. You and I DM. Thank you so much for the love. Justin Martin sends in a super chat saying, what a spectacular main event. This was a beautiful moment for women's wrestling. Congrats to Thunder Rosa. No one deserves this more. Jason X Cross is happy and relieved. Rosa is the champ. It's a new era, guy. Era. Devin Schultz says AEW has been a bastion of diversity with its champs, 2 Japanese, 2 blacks, and now Rosa for Latinos. I am proud to be on the AEW fan base from day one. And that's true, guys. When we talk about representation, when you talk about representation as a whole, it's not just focused on Latinos. It's not just focused on, a certain group. It's focused across the board, guys. So I do like Devin Schultz bringing that up here. We got a super chat from Diego Chacon via Miser, who says, Viva la raza, flags up high, Latinos everywhere. Yep. Hell yeah, man. Hell freaking yeah. So now, let's get into this match itself, guys. Let's talk about what made this match pretty freaking phenomenal, and let's get to it. So obviously their lights out unsanctioned match has really done a lot for women's wrestling, especially in AEW. I think after that match, we saw a shift in how women's wrestling was presented in AEW. And I know that AEW has gotten a lot of criticism for not doing as much for their women, but we have seen that since then they have been making a lot of effort to do more stuff for the women. We've been seeing more storylines for the women. We had 3 matches at Revolution for the women, which was a big deal. We've been seeing just a little bit more here and there, the TBS Championship, them building up Jade Cargill, etc. So we have been seeing them try and do more for women's wrestling. Can they still do more? Yes, of course. But we're getting there. So, but that lights out match between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, I think was definitely a big catalyst for that, and for women's wrestling in general, just basically showing the world that, yeah, you can have, like, women's wrestlers, they can have these types of matches and have them be good and believable and, entertaining, right? And be hot. Because I think a lot of the times people think, like, there's been so many times where people will say, like, oh yeah, women's wrestling doesn't sell. And we've heard all of that. But when you had a match like what Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, what they did in that lights out unsanctioned match, it basically shows and proves otherwise. So little things like that is why that match ended up being so phenomenal. On top of that, it really skyrocketed Britt Baker. Britt Baker's career really took off even more so after that. She ended up winning the AEW Women's World Championship at Double or Nothing to a massive reaction. And that kind of was great for her because she had already started to really build herself up as this massive star. And then to end up getting the championship after this match. And that sort of became that moment that ended up being a t-shirt where she has the blood and she's looking all like gruesome. That moment is going to be forever iconic in her career and also going to stand out as a big moment for AEW and AEW's history as well, not just their female history, but also their history overall. So we got to see that for Britt Baker. So just a lot of stuff that came out of that that lights out unsanctioned match. So anyways, we saw their match at Revolution. Their match at Revolution was fine, but I don't think that it lived up to the expectations of the lights out unsanctioned match. And once they announced that, hey, there's going to be this match between Thunder Rosa and Layla Hirsch, and whoever wins is going to go into the steel cage match with Britt Baker, I think we all kind of knew, like, okay, going into this, we all knew that Thunder Rosa was going to win. It was very obvious, mainly because of, like, it not happening at Revolution and them saving it for her hometown. It makes it feel like, yeah, like you knew it was going to happen, right? Like it was written there. It had to happen for her there. So anyway, so we knew that. We knew all of this. First of all, they have to try and live up to the expectations of the unsanctioned match. We already knew that Thunder Rosa, we had a good feeling that Thunder Rosa was going to win. So they had all of that sort of stacked up going into this match where they had to live up and surpass the hype from their previous match and also get people riled up even though they figured that Thunder Rosa was going to be winning. Okay, so during this match, there was a lot that I particularly liked. Right off the bat, we saw Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker literally across from the ring from each other, but this was a good moment, just them standing across from each other, because the audience reacted to this. And obviously they're going to react to everything because it's Thunder Rosa's hometown, but there was a really nice, respectful moment where you're like, okay, I know these two women, I know their history with one another, and we're going to show them respect as they kick off this match. So it was hot from the beginning and hot all the way till the close of the show. So that was good. But right away, Thunder Rosa went in and basically utilized the cage by shoving Britt Baker's face into it, punching her like right at the top here, making sure that she gets busted open and really hitting her hard with the steel cage. So we saw the utilization of the cage immediately. Now, keep in mind, they only had a couple of minutes left on the show. I think this match had like maybe 15 or 20 minutes of TV time, somewhere around there. I didn't keep time or anything like that, but they only had a certain amount of time there to kind of get all their shit in, and they did. So it was very quick. Hey, we're utilizing the cage here. She's busted open, and then immediately after this, we end up seeing them incorporate the weapons. So we see Britt Baker bring in the chairs. She brings in the chairs. And before she can even get Thunder Rosa with the chair shot, Thunder Rosa clotheslines her and kind of keeps the momentum going. So like the majority of the first half of this match, it is Thunder Rosa dominating Britt Baker. But then towards the latter end is when we start to see things kind of change up a little bit. We see some brutal spots during this. One of the spots that we got here is, first of all, we see Thunder Rosa hit a really nice stunner. That was good too. We see Britt accidentally hit the referee. The referee ends up being taken out. We see referee Aubrey coming in, which I love, by the way, because they kind of had like this moment between Britt Baker and Aubrey where they had this like, you know, a little bit of tension there. So I like that they tied in a little bit of their history on that. But I also loved that it was a female referee in this main event. I think it was a little extra touch that kind of made it feel, you know, a little extra special, considering that you had like, the first ever women's AEW steel cage match for the championship. So that was good. There was a moment though where Britt Baker sets up a bunch of chairs and piles them up next to Thunder Rosa. And Thunder Rosa is on the turnbuckle, and she ends up hitting a avalanche air raid on Thunder Rosa, and Thunder Rosa lands on all of those chairs. That was a crazy, brutal spot for Thunder Rosa there. Afterwards, we end up seeing another spot, but on the opposite side of the ring, on the near the turnbuckles, we see Britt Baker again set up the chairs, but this time she does it like musical chair style, and she actually opens up the chairs and she forms them right there, and she even double stacks them, so you kind of got like a little bit of a pile, like a chair cake chair. I don't know. Anyways, but you get a bunch of chairs there. And so I'm thinking like, shit, is Thunder Rosa going to take another nasty ass bump into the chairs? I'm wondering like, what is going to happen here? So they end up both at the top, and, they're kind of battling it out for just a second. And then I'm wondering like, who's it going to be? Who's going to go through the chairs? What are they going to do? It doesn't look pretty, especially with the way that the chairs are set up. So this backfires on Britt Baker, who was the one who set up the chairs, and Thunder Rosa smashes her face in, and this causes Britt Baker to take a nasty, and I mean nasty spot, a bump right into the damn chairs, guys. Like her back literally hit like the top of the edges of these chairs, and that is, oh, it was so nasty, guys. So nasty. So, damn, that was a spot right there for sure. My favorite portion, though, after these two brutal spots with the chairs, I really loved the moment where they bring in the thumbtacks. We see Thunder Rosa go through the thumbtacks, but then afterwards, Britt Baker tries to lock in the lockjaw, but she can't. And Thunder Rosa is literally biting her hand, okay? Literally biting her hand. She's biting her hand as she manages to not get into the lockjaw. Britt Baker continues to try to execute it, but instead, Thunder Rosa grabs her hand and literally starts smashing it onto the mat while all the thumbtacks are there. So she is smashing her hands there. So that was really great too. Finally, we see Thunder Rosa powerbomb Britt Baker onto the thumbtacks, hits the Thunder Driver. She gets the win. And ta-da, we had a really good main event match that I think really kind of lived up to expectations, I would say. Wow. All right. Try to cover mostly everything that I could there. Let's see what people are saying, guys. Send in your thoughts, and I'm going to pull those up as we continue on. We also have so much more to talk about in just a second here. But we got Roberto Arsenal, who sends in a super chat saying, so happy for Thunder Rosa. Thank you for that nice run, Britt. I enjoyed it. It's Rosa's time now. Wheeler Yuta is slowly earning his stripes, and I love it. And we'll talk about Wheeler Yuta and everything else that occurred on the show in just a second. Heidi Ho 77 says, sorry I'm late to the party. I was pulling for Britt to start this match, and Thunder Rosa won me over, and I was rooting for her by the end. What a match. Gerardo Escalera says Eddie was watching, and I didn't see that, but that's great. We got Enigma 316 who says ya era tiempo, nueva campaña. Thanks, campeona, excuse me, nueva campeona. Thanks, Denise, for all that you do. Thank you so much to Enigma 316 for sending in this super chat. And this is from the Cooch 97 who says, La mera mera, Rosa and Denise, viva la raza. And let's see what we got here, guys. We got so many comments. I'm trying to get as many as I possibly can here. Let me just catch up. All right, cool. And this is from Stephen Butler who says, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker delivered another fantastic match. Congrats to Thunder Rosa. And this is Anthony Analog who says, I want Thunder Rosa and eventually Deeb's reign to get the women's world away from hardcore, more technical. I love the hardcore stuff for women. I know that there's a lot of criticism about that too. And because of that, I kind of love it even more. I already loved it. I loved it extra more afterwards here. The Polish Jen asked about that flour tortillas, corn tortillas sign. It depends on what I'm eating. If it's a burrito, definitely flour tortillas. If it is a taco, corn tortillas. And if it is a quesadilla, it depends on my mood if I want flour or corn. So yeah, thank you to the Polish Grant who is asking the real questions here. Sebastian McCulloch says, love the match, but I'm really sick of thumbtacks. Oh man, I love thumbtacks. I love blood. You guys already know this. Sheldon Jackson says Rosa and Britt lived up to the hype and blew the Revolution match out of the water tonight. 100%. Noe Gonzalez says, my mom watched the entire match from the Mariachis to Rosa victory. Viva la raza. It's like cool as hell, man. Like if you tell your relatives who aren't even like wrestling fans and you tell them like Thunder's story, I think they'll get into it like regardless. Heidi Ho says Thunder with the stunner on 316 Steve Austin Day was awesome as well. Yep. Thank you so much to Heidi Ho. Alrighty, guys. So there you go. That was Thunder Rosa essentially winning the AEW Women's World Championship. Bravo. And we now have a Mexican-born American AEW Women's World Champion. Yeah. All right, for those on the audio version, didn't get to see that crappy dance. All right, guys, but let's go ahead and continue on because we still got so much more to talk about on today's episode of AEW Dynamite. And I also want to say that one of the things that I noticed about today's show is that it was paced a little bit differently than some of our previous shows that we've been seeing. I noticed that usually, like, when I'm watching Dynamite, I swear to God, there's times where I have to pause because I cannot take my notes. I cannot tweet with so much happening on the show that I have to like pause and, finish out my thoughts because it is one thing after another. I noticed that tonight's show, they did let the show breathe a little bit more. We had, I believe it was 4 matches on the show, and they gave every single match a good amount of time, which was nice. And I didn't feel like we were going from segment to segment to segment where everything felt rushed. I didn't feel that way. I thought that they gave everything a nice moment to breathe. We have a super chat from Estío Latino who says, El mundo necesita más mujeres mexicanas chingonas como Thunder Rosa y Denise. Hope Thunder's back injury is not severe. Well, I'm sure both Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa are going to be feeling it tonight, guys. And for the next couple of days, because what they did in there, guys, God, no, I would never even try that. Nope, not even. But thank you so much to Estío Latino. All right, so we got our opening match, guys. Ooh, I love this match so much. I think this was definitely my second favorite match of the night. We had the 6-man, which was Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Hangman Adam Page versus Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. This was fun as hell. This was so much fun. It was an opening match full of fast-paced action between a bunch of guys that I think a lot of people really enjoy. Right off the bat, really nice Hurricanrana and dropkick from Jungle Boy to Adam Cole. Good stuff there. Hangman getting in the hot tag and just getting in there and going red hot, attacking all three guys at like record speed was phenomenal. Page hitting the power bomb on Fish, going for a pin but getting a near fall. That was nice too. Really fun moment when we saw Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Hangman Adam Page all do moonsaults at the exact same time in different directions. It was like a flower, you know? Like a flower. It was great stuff there. After this, standing moonsault from Luchasaurus going for the pin. Goes for the pin. Wait, he hits the double moonsault from Luchasaurus, and then afterwards he does a double pin, but it ends up being a near fall as well. A hot moment was when we got the two Adams, Adam Cole, Adam Page, going face to face with one another, literally going nose to nose, and rights and lefts from the both of them, punching each other back and forth. That was good stuff from both of those guys. I really enjoyed the pump kicks from Adam Cole to Adam Page, and then also seeing the dead eye from Adam Page immediately after that. Jungle Boy executing the double doomsday device was also really cool. For the finish, though, we end up seeing Adam Cole hit the boom on Jungle Boy and getting the win. Like I said, this was a fun match, and I like what they're doing here. One of the things that people have been asking for is the trios belts. I think after this match tonight, like I wasn't those people that were like, oh my God, I really need a trios belt. I would have been like, cool, right? But I wasn't those people that was like, oh my God, right? But after this, sign me up. I want to be the oh my God people. I want to be them. Because after this, I just need to see more of and obviously Hangman Page, as champion, but I do want to see more of Hangman Page, Adam Cole. My gosh, Hangman Page, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy. So many Adams, I get confused. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and move on from here, guys. Let's see what we got. After this, we got Keith Lee and Hobbs and Starks backstage. Starks basically tells Keith Lee that he can't run things on Rampage. They address the beating that took place last week. Starks tells him that if he shows up to Rampage, the same thing is going to be happening to him. And we'll talk more about them in just a second because there's another segment that includes them as well. We got a super chat from Punk Rock Shaw 84. Oh, Punk Rock Show. I don't know why I said Shaw. How goes the cereal coming along? I don't get it. Explain it. Sorry, guys. I have a lot going on in my mind right now. I got a lot going in my mind right now. Univonner says, Jesus, Denise, get your shit together. It's the Adams, guys. The Adams. All right, let's continue on from here. So after this, something I'm excited for, and I'm curious to hear your predictions on where we're going with this. So, Kris Statlander. Everybody loves Kris Statlander. I freaking love Kris Statlander. But they play this vignette video where she is like Mulan, taking off her makeup, and I'm wondering, are we going to get a character change or some sort of adjustment from Kris Statlander? She took off her makeup. When a girl takes off her makeup, it's either the end of the day or she's changing her look, man. I'm kind of excited for this. Not going to lie. Sometimes I feel that because of the Kris Statlander character, I feel like sometimes sometimes that may hold her back, and it shouldn't, because she's really great in the ring. Instantly when she was, doing her work with Britt Baker, I freaking loved how they showed how strong she is and how powerful she is, that I want to see more of that. And I feel like some people haven't taken her seriously, maybe because of the character. So I'm wondering if we can expect a character change from Kris Statlander. We'll see. Let's see what we got here. This one is from, we got lots of comments here. This one is from, I wanted to pull it up. John, who says she's no longer an alien. Well, I mean, she took off the green makeup, so possibly. And Heckman says alien no more. F in the chat for her boop. Let's see what we got. This is from Andrew, who says start switching to a more serious character. Could be great for getting a push. I do think so too. And we got a lot of people saying that they feel that this is going to be dropping the alien gimmick. And yeah, I agree. I do think that a character change will help her maybe be taken a little bit more seriously, because there's no reason why Kris Statlander shouldn't be at the top of the AEW women's division. You can have more than 1 to 2 people, guys. You can have more people at the top. And I think Kris Statlander has the look. She has the presence. She has the skill set, I think. She has this. I love her strength. Her strength to me, her strength and her power is the selling point for me. I would harness in on that and really push it just to put her over, because I really love her. All right, let's go ahead and move on from here, guys. Before we do, though, really quickly, everybody, for those of you who are wondering, hey, when can I catch your show, Denise? I'm live 3 times a week here on F4W Online. I'm live on Tuesdays to chat about NXT 2.0. Wednesdays, I'm here to talk about AEW Dynamite, which is my most popular show of the week. People love to talk about Dynamite. And then Fridays, my most chill show of the week, I talk about Rampage and Smackdown. Rampage is starting at a later time this Friday, so the timing for this podcast will probably be a little bit weird in terms of it'll be a lot later, but it'll still happen, so keep an eye out for that. We got a super chat from Punk Rock Show 84, who says, sorry about that, I'm such a dunk. I meant to ask, how is your cereal coming along? I mentioned last week that you should have your own cereal. Thank you. I started to think, like, what is he talking about? Like, I couldn't figure you out. So have done absolutely nothing. In fact, the other day I ate Cheerios and I got pretty sick. So my cereal career is coming to an end, guys. But thank you so much to the Punk Rock Show 84 for that lovely comment. All righty, Luis Mendoza wonders if Kris will be dethroning Jade. I don't think so. I think that they've invested so much in Jade that I don't think that they would essentially drop all that right now, just yet. I think there's still so much more to do with Jade's undefeated streak that I don't think it would be Kris dethroning Jade. I don't think so. I mean, who knows? I wouldn't mind it, but I just don't think so, though. I don't think so. I think they've got something going right now with Jade, and they've had something going with Jade. I don't think they're just going to drop it right now. Like, it's not going to happen. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from here. So after this, we got Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson versus Chuck Taylor and Wheeler Yuta. We had William Regal on commentary, which I kind of adored having him on commentary because he just really sells the story, really sells the personas. He just makes everything feel more legitimate. So I appreciate that. Let's see what we got here. One of the things that I kind of brought up on Twitter, and I was just thinking about this as I was watching this match, is that I almost wonder, like, and this is probably not the case, but I almost wonder if Bryan Danielson just like, this is how I envision Bryan Danielson, okay? In my head, this is the image that I have. I imagine Bryan Danielson holding up, I don't know, let's say an iPad, and looking at the AEW roster and going, that guy. That's the guy that I want to kick the living shit out of next week on Dynamite. Like, that's just how I see things, right? But Bryan Danielson, one of the things that I think captivates me along with everything that he does in the ring is really just the tremendous amount of focus that he puts in on his opponents. While he's working on his opponents, he is so focused in on them. Like, look at him. Look, you could almost read you can almost try and read his mind as he's wrestling, as he's doing things. He kind of just looks like he's just thinking of new ways to like cause pain or inflict pain on his opponents. And that was just one of the things that I was thinking about today as he was causing pain to both Chuck Taylor and Wheeler Yuta. On the outside, there was this really cool moment though, where we saw Moxley biting Yuta and then hitting him with the paradigm shift on the outside. I did love seeing Bryan Danielson hit all of his yes kicks. Every time he does that, I don't even know if he's still calling them yes kicks, but whatever. I'm just going to call him that. But it's just like he is doing so freaking great. It's like not even funny anymore. It's not even funny. Anyway, so after this, we end up seeing Moxley hit the Bulldog on Yuta, and Yuta taps out here. So what we need to talk about here is after the match, Yuta is essentially about to leave with his friends. He's about to go with his friends, but instead he doesn't. He gets back into the ring and he has this confrontation with William Regal. He's kind of like going back in there, and from the looks of it, he wants to be part of this stable with Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, right? And Regal, from the looks of it. And so William Regal literally just slaps him across the freaking face. And the way that I see it is like, was this a test? Was this like a mini audition? I don't know, but I love this. I love how William Regal is really ruthless. He's ruthless. He just slapped the crap out of him. And we already saw that on AEW Revolution when he also slapped Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. And even on commentary, he said like, he looks to see what the reaction is of these guys when that happens, because, you know, that shows a lot of, you know, their character and who they are as a man, you know? So I liked this. I'm curious to see where the rest of this is going. We got people putting over Regal was great on commentary. I agree. Zeno Hour says Yuta wants that violence. The Keys Boo says Daniel Garcia should start coming out with a ridiculous sports entertainment gear. Oh, we'll get there. We will get there. The Keys Boo says the fact that the crowd got behind Yuta during this match before the stuff at the end even happened was fantastic. Agreed. That shows that that's good storytelling there, because obviously we were going to see all this stuff at the end. So you kind of have to get the guy over during the match here. Haj Gulasi says this showed how much these two can instantly get someone over with the crowd. It is amazing. Yep, I agree. I mean, if you're in the ring with them, it's going to be, you know, you're going to get yourself over for the most part. Let's see what we got here. Justin Martin says, you don't look like $1 million taking everything from Moxley and Danielson, but coming back for more than standing up to Regal. And I agree with the Kyo put, who says Regal's great as almost anything he does. Yeah, I agree. We got a super chat from Cadillac Carson who says, more job interviews need slaps in the face. I like it. Can you imagine? Like, hey, you want to work at Best Buy? Here's a slap in the face. Let's see if you can cut it. You know what, though? For retail, that would actually be really good training. And I'm going to say this why. It's going to sound really stupid, but this is the truth. Retail, man, if you're listening to this podcast and you work in retail, I worked in retail for 7 years, I think more than that, in customer service, and people are mean. People are evil. They treat you like crap. You got to be able to take a lot of pain and suffering if you're working like a customer service retail type of job. People are mean. So you know what? It would test your capabilities, your patience, to see how much you can handle. Get slapped in the face. Hey, you want to work at Coach? Slap in the face. You want to work at Nordstrom? Slap in the face. Those are all places I worked at, by the way. Thank you so much to Cadillac Carson. Now I'm just getting heated here, thinking of those retail days that were god awful. Sean Williams says, world full of Karens, Denise. All right, let's move on from here. As I mentioned earlier in the show, we did get another backstage segment involving Starks and Hobbs. So let me talk about that. The Acclaimed backstage, they're basically talking about the upcoming match that we're going to be seeing at Rampage, which is going to be Max Caster versus Keith Lee. So on Rampage, we're going to see Max Caster versus Keith Lee. So during this, he's basically cutting a promo on Keith Lee saying, there's no limit on me, whatever, right? But the point is here that Starks and Hobbs then approach Max and Anthony Bowens and basically say that their duty is to take out the new guy, Keith Lee, for coming down here because they don't like all of these new guys coming in here trying to take their spot. I liked that, by the way. Really liked that line from Starks. But anyways, so they're basically telling them, like, do your duty and put Keith Lee away. And they're kind of like, they're flattering him for the most part. But then we have Shane Strickland who comes in, Swerve who comes in, and he basically says, like, oh, you got a problem with the new guys? Blah, blah, blah. That was good. I like this. And Stark's giving him the dirty Fucci face look. That was great too. Go back and watch that. I was going to screenshot it, but I didn't have enough time. All right, so let's move on from here. And we got a comment from Uni Wagner who says, retail and restaurant industry is the drizzling shit from customers. We got it, guys. Customer service people unite. Unite right here on this podcast. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So after this is where I'm curious to see how people are going to feel about, Jesus, I don't know what that was. I'm curious to see how people are going to feel about this next segment, and that is the Jericho Appreciation Society. Sorry about that, guys. I moved a button and it creeped me out. Anyway, so we got the Jericho Appreciation Society here today. They were introduced to us last week, but now we kind of got a little bit more of who they are. What is the message? I mean, if the name wasn't clear enough for you, Jericho Appreciation Society, if that didn't tell you enough about what the stable was going to be, then you got a little bit more information here today. The Jazz, but they don't do jazz hands. All right, we got Hager, Daniel Garcia 2.0, and Chris Jericho. This is them putting over Chris Jericho as not only a performer and everything that he's done in the industry, but also as a human. They appreciate him. They're the Jericho Appreciation Society. Jericho then finally takes the microphone and he says that we, the people, are lucky to be alive in his time during his timeline. We're lucky to be alive at the same time as Chris Jericho is. And he mentions, a lot of his accomplishments in the business, one of them helping carry AEW and get them to where they are right now. Says AEW would not have been possible without Chris Jericho. And then afterwards, he begins to say that the fans have been taking him for granted, that they insult him on social media. He says, I see all of your guys' comments. I see all of you guys, insulting me on social media, etc. He says that the people don't appreciate him. The AEW roster didn't appreciate him. The inner circle didn't appreciate him, but these guys do appreciate him. So he basically starts to talk about how, he puts over his guys, mentioning that 2.0 has a job in AEW because of him and all of that. So what we're seeing here, guys, is another reinvention of Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho has been really good at constantly reinventing himself throughout his career. We've seen so many different versions of Chris Jericho. And this time he is going by, or has been going by rather, as the influencer. And, his hair is a little bit different. It's a little softer. His wardrobe is a little bit more like influency type. I don't know how else to say it. Influency type. And so you see that in him and the way that he's presenting himself. Okay. So then he goes on to say that they are now going to be referring to themselves as sports entertainers. So basically what this Jericho Appreciation Society is supposed to be everything that I guess you can say people on Twitter hate. So like everything that Twitter hates, Jericho has now taken that and made that into a new persona, a new version of Chris Jericho. After this, he basically says that he throws a shot at WWE, by the way. This is a quote. He says, quote, 2.0, by the way, that's a stupid name from Bad Creative, and you'll never hear it again. We don't use fake names in the Jericho Appreciation Society. And so yeah, that was a little bit of a shot. And then he says that they're all going to go by their real names. And then he says to mark this day, March 16th, 2022, as the day of the birth of the new era of the era of the sports entertainer. So with all that being said, this is supposed to be like literally everything that is anti what Twitter would want, right? Like this is what the whole thing is based off or maybe inspired by. Now, with all of that being said, I really actually kind of dug this. I'm guilty. I liked this whole like era of sports entertainers. I thought, you know what? For a heel group that I'm supposed to hate, why the hell not? You know, like him going out there and calling himself the sports entertainer and, you know, basically it being about how wonderful Chris Jericho is and all of that stuff. For a heel faction, for a heel group, I do not hate it. I don't hate it. I didn't hate it. Let's see what else we got here, guys. If there's anything that I didn't bring up, drop it in the comments and I will try to bring up in case I missed something. Cameron Mumford, a very good friend of the show here. Cameron, appreciate you. Cameron's always tweeting about this show. I see you. Cameron says, want to get booed and be healed by the AEW crowd. Say you're a sports entertainer. Gotta love it. This was brilliant. Yeah, at the end of the day, he's going to get that heel reaction. This is not going to be for some people. Like some people are going to love this and appreciate it for what it is. And some people are going to be like, nah, I'm out. Whatever your choice is, that's your choice. But I do have to give kudos where kudos is deserved because it is pretty brilliant. The whole concept, the whole idea surrounding the Jericho Appreciation Society. Thank you so much to Cameron for the nice comment here, or rather the super chat. Let's see what we got here, guys. This is from the Kyoput, who says, sure, they may have booed the term sports entertainer, but they were still singing Judas when that promo ended. I wonder if he's going to change the song. I don't think so, but we'll see. This is from Doppelganger399, who says, unsure about the Jericho stuff, but it's Jericho, so I'll give it time. John says, no, it was too corny, trying too hard. Jason90 says, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I like Buddy Holly says, I just saw a good Reddit idea. Future Blood and Guts sports entertainer versus William Regal's Pure Wrestling faction. I saw somebody mention this on Twitter too, but I do think that when they do the Blood and Guts stuff, I think it's going to be Eddie Kingston, Santana and Ortiz, and then the Jericho Appreciation Society, because they still got to deal with all that stuff. So I think that's probably where they're headed with the Blood and Guts. But considering that a lot of people are bringing up this, you know, sports entertainer stuff versus the William Regal Pure Wrestling faction, I can see it happening. Matt Carney sends in a super chat saying, is AEW still developing or is it now fully formed? I don't know what you mean by the question, because I feel like this is a broad question and you could be, you know, you could hit on several topics with this. But if you mean by like a roster, oh, their roster is fully there. Like they got a lot of options for a lot of possible storylines. They have a lot of options for champions. Think about that. They have a lot of options for people to be champions and a lot of options for people to be challengers to those champions. There's a lot going on there. But in terms of like more, if you were wondering about maybe something else a little bit more specific, then I don't know. But for right now, that's how I'll answer that right now. Okay, let's see what we got here, guys. This is from CRS Uno, who says, I love AEW, but I wish they would stop referencing WWE. They have a stacked roster. They can make their own lane. And Labor Day says, peak Jericho tonight. He turned that crowd completely around. Mark Muggsy says, Jericho's new gimmick is an obvious dig at WWE, and it's one of the funniest things ever. That too, like it's on top of like what everything that like Twitter hates, but it's also basically like making a mockery of WWE by claiming that they're sports entertainers and they knowing that it's like a, I don't know, they're like recognizing it as what a lot of people consider to be a trash term. So they're recognizing it and kind of making a mockery of it. We got a super chat from Nate S, who says, hey, thoughts on if Jade stays undefeated into next year, then vacates the title to challenge Rosa at Double or Nothing 2023. Great meeting you at Revolution BTW. Great meeting you, by the way. So Jade undefeated until next year. Dude, that's a long time from now. That is a long time. I do not think that I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because I feel like she's already doing her own thing with the TBS championship. And I would rather see some faces maybe like your Kris Statlanders, your Red Velvets, those people maybe get an opportunity, your Tide Contis, all of those people maybe get a shot at, building themselves up as credible challengers, for Thunder Rosa. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. But thank you so much to Nate S. We got a super chat from Daniel Zambrano who says he needs to take the song away to really get the crowd against him. Yeah, that is true. I mean, if you're not singing along, I'm sure he'll probably miss it, but it's been a long time. It's been a good chunk of time. So yeah, I would probably have to agree with that as well. Alrighty, and now let's go ahead and Labor Day says Jericho referencing to everyone but himself as their shoot names. Brilliant. All right. Let's see what we got here, guys. We still got a couple more things to talk about. We got Wardlow versus Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship, and this turned out exactly as I predicted. Kami Nordstradamus. I predicted it, and probably so did a million other people. But you know what? This is my show, so I'm just going to claim I predicted this, even though everybody saw it coming. Everybody and their mothers, whatever. MJF costing this match for Wardlow. Sean Spears distracting Wardlow. MJF coming from behind and essentially driving his face right into the steel steps. So that this allows Scorpio Sky to essentially get the win. This makes sense, guys. This makes complete and utter sense. This is where I figured the story was going, and this is where it went. Post-match, we see Austin come in and essentially punch. The American Top Team guys essentially come in and punch Wardlow, and they did this on behalf of the MJF. MJF essentially paid off Dan Lambert and his guy to essentially do that to Wardlow. So we got to see that. On top of this, we end up seeing MJF try and go to we end up seeing Wardlow try to powerbomb MJF, but it doesn't work. He's outnumbered, and that's about it, guys. So this all falls in line perfectly with the story that they're going with right now with Wardlow. For Scorpio Sky, in terms of this being I don't think Scorpio Sky is going to be TNT champion for long. I don't know why, but I have this feeling that it's going to be a short run. I could be completely wrong. That's just kind of like my gut feeling right now, though. I really do think that Swerve, if they really want to establish him, I think that he should probably be the new TNT champion, especially if you want to establish some of the newer guys. I do think that would be something that they can do, but I was definitely not expecting to see Wardlow whatsoever as TNT champion tonight. This just continues to further the story with him and MJF. So we got a super chat from Matt Carney who says, has AEW found its identity, meaning this will be the feel and vibe of AEW going forward for the foreseeable future? Is its personality fully formed? I don't know, because even though I said that today was kind of the show pacing felt a little bit different, I feel like AEW's natural instincts, it's to be a fast-paced show, and so I think that's still more of its like natural vibe. But in terms of it like always having, we've been consistently seeing, like, if you want to describe its personality as like, we're constantly seeing a lot of factions, we're constantly seeing a lot of post-match melees, we're constantly seeing a lot of good matches, new characters, new faces, a lot of really fast-moving parts. I would consider that more of like their personality / vibe. But thank you to Matt for sending this in as well. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and continue on from here. We mentioned Jade Cargill earlier. She is looking for opponent number 30. We don't know who that might be. We'll find out soon. We got the in-ring debut of Matt and Jeff Hardy, who are not going by the Hardy Boys here in AEW, but they are going by the Hardys. AEW did send out a press release a couple of hours before the show announcing that they would have a match on today's show. So they were really making sure that they got a lot of buzz for the Hardys, essentially making their in-ring debut on AEW together as an item. And they really made sure that got a lot of buzz, which I think regardless of whether or not they sent a press release, it was going to get like a lot of buzz, even if Tony Khan would have just like tweeted out. I don't know if he ever tweeted it out. He might have. I probably just didn't see. But great reaction for the Hardys. We got to see Private Party essentially do a little bit of their, double team work behind the referee's back. That was all cool. But for the most part, we saw Jeff Hardy come in and, hit all of his greatest hits and all of that. We saw really nice when he got the hot tag, came in there, got the leg drop, got the double drop kick, got the elbow. For the finish, we end up seeing him hit the Swanton Bomb. Gets the win for his team. After this, we see the AFO coming out, and they're kind of about to surround the Hardy Boys, and it's about to be, I think it's like what? The AFO is like 5 people. I forget now. But we have, all these men essentially surrounding Matt and Jeff, but to come out and have their backs, we have Sting and Darby who come out, and they essentially have the backs of Matt and Jeff. So this is going to be interesting. I think my prediction is they'll be helping each other out for whenever they need it. I'm hoping that this is going to lead into, and I'm pretty sure it's going to lead to an 8-man or something. We'll probably see that. Cool. I'm good with that. The AFO feuding with Matt and Jeff and the addition of Sting and Darby. Totally cool with that. I think that's where we're headed. But I think immediately after that, we'll probably get the Hardys and Sting and Darby. So that would be really good too. And I think a lot of the people want to see that. Cadillac Carson says Darby is living the dream, fighting alongside Sting and the Hardys. Gotta be nice. Dude, can you imagine if seriously, go back to your little kid self and someone said, you're going to be a pro wrestler. On top of that, you're going to be cool and you're going to do cool shit and the kids are going to love you and adults are going to love you. And on top of that, you're also going to be working with Sting. Oh, yeah. And CM Punk, one of the greatest wrestlers ever, is going to take 7 years off of wrestling, is going to come back, and you're going to be his first match against him. Oh, and on top of that, you're also going to be doing stuff with Matt and Jeff Hardy and a bunch of other stuff that Darby did that I haven't mentioned. Think about that. You'd probably be like, what? All right. Continuing on from here. After this, let's go ahead and we only got one more thing to talk about since I already discussed the main event at the top of the show. So we just got one final thing to discuss, and that is the upcoming matches that were made for Rampage. We got Darby Allin versus The Butcher, Layla versus Red Velvet, Bear Country and Fuego del Sol versus House of Black, and Max Caster versus Keith Lee. So it looks like a decent card. Layla and Red Velvet, 2 women that have been, they've sort of been in, I don't want to say the shadows, but they haven't been key players per se. They're not on the Britt Baker Thunder Rosa level, but every single time that they come out, they always make sure to make an impact. So they always say, hey, look at me. Obviously, Layla, she was, competing for the #1 contendership and all of that. More so she's a little bit, higher up than Red Velvet, but still, for the most part, they both have something there, and they're both on the precipice of getting to that next level. Darby Allin and The Butcher should be fun. And the 6-man should be pretty good. And then Caster and Keith Lee is probably going to be Keith Lee just doing tossing Caster around probably. Alrighty, guys, but there you go. That was today's show, St. Patrick's Day Slam. I really appreciate each and every single person that came into today's show. Without you guys, I'm seriously nothing. And I just want to say thank you so much to everybody that came into the show. You all make my day so much better, and I could never thank you guys enough. Please, if you like this podcast, share it with your friends. Let them know that you enjoy it. It really would mean a lot to me. Help continue to spread the word about the show. I've said this before and I'll say it again, but I want to be a good asset to F4W and their long history. And I want to be a good addition to this team. And I can only do that by putting on good shows and developing a nice little audience. So I want to thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. Enjoy the rest of your nights. And I will see you on Friday for SmackDown and Rampage conversations. Bye.